and welcome to episode 26 of Zapped to the Past. I am Adrian Mills and I'm joined as always by Graham Raddings. If you haven't listened before, this is a podcast where we discuss games that were released for the Commodore 64. Last week, we looked at our first batch of games from issue 13 of Zap 64, which we are in no way affiliated with. We were amazed at Alter Ego, budged by Jeff Cape Strongman, and transfixed by Thrust. In episode 26, which covers the rather cool and dull month of May 1986, we're going to be concluding our look at the games from that issue, along with what was going on at the cinema and on TV that month. So Graham, tell us exactly what we have to look forward to in this episode.
In this all-you-can-eat salad bar of an episode, we go into galactic team building and space shopping with PSI 5 Trading Company. We swim with the fishes with Mugsy's Revenge and go on a fully-fledged wandathon with Ark Pandora. We also get escalator frustration with the dubious and painful-sounding Mr. Mephisto, suffer branded Time Lord absenteeism with Doctor Who and the Mines of Terror, before finally reliving a classic American football game from 19 miles above the field with Super Bowl 20. Is this episode nothing but games and a badge? Forget about it.
Sounds promising. Or maybe not. Let's move things along and take a look at our first game, which is the unusual PSI 5 Trading Company. Graham. PSI 5 Trading Company.
Is it PSI 5 or is it Sci 5?
I think it's PSI. I've always called it PSI 5.
Okay.
Because it's all capitals.
Yeah, no, I just wondered.
I don't know, I've always called it PSI. It could be Sci-Fi.
It doesn't matter. It's all good. So it's a single-player game. You've got the idea of the game is you've got to basically transport various cargoes through the different planets in a star system. The star system is infested, is replete, festooned with baddies of different descriptions, pirates and the like. And you've got to kind of get your stuff there as undamaged or as intact as possible. The target planets have different routes, and some of those routes are more dangerous than others, and that affects the reward you get. As the person, you actually pick a crew from a range of characters, which you've all got different sort of strengths, weaknesses, types. So you go through a kind of a pick your crew phase, which is displayed by sort of different crew member graphics. The graphics are actually pretty good, nicely drawn. This is an Accolade game. You've got sort of, I don't know if it's the same person that did Law of the West graphics.
I believe it is, but I will just check on that.
But either way, they've got a good style to the graphics now, so they look quite cool. You've got a range of characters to choose from, all different creatures from all different space zones, from robots through to alien-looking things. All, again, different strengths. You have to choose them for different areas to control your ship. So there's an engineer, there's a tactical weapons person, that kind of. You get the idea. So you pick a crew, and then
it is the same person.
Same person. So there is a quality style to the graphics. So
Mimi Doggett.
Sorry,
Mimi Doggett.
So Mimi Doggett's graphics really good. So the idea of the game is you sort of manage the crew. So you give the crew orders and they operate the ship. When you get to the sort of ship view on the top left, you've got kind of a window view of what you see out the front of the spaceship. So a bit like in the Starship Enterprise where they had the big screen at the front of the bridge. You've got this kind of view of the window of what's going on, and that's where you can see enemies and shoot things, and the kind of things play out in that kind of way. In stars, you can see the sort of journey that you're on. To the right of that, you've got your crew members that you're controlling, you've got the control of the crew, and you give the orders, and so you go through the game sort of dictating and making choices. Sometimes you have to do them quite quick and set the order of things that happen. So if you've got several things, if you're being attacked by several things, you've got to try and fight them in a kind of a tactical manner. It's not just a game where you can go and blast things around at the sky. You've got to think about things a little bit and control that, because you do get damage, and you've got to then think about how you're going to repair that damage, whether you've got the right crew members to be able to do that. Your cargo can get nicked by the pirates, and then you can sort of change and fix and also sort of alter. It alters the way you play the game, so you can become. Your crew members can actually suffer, I would say duress, but they can start to make errors when you play the game. When I was playing it, when I finally got it to work, I'll come to that part in a minute, but sometimes they made real stupid decisions, and I regretted picking them for my crew. And I ended up getting the ship quite badly damaged on account of it. So, and if the ship gets too badly damaged and beyond repair, you get totally looted, and then that's kind of, you're not going to get much out of it after that. So once you get to the planets with your cargo, and depending on what route you took and depending on what kind of journey you've taken to get there, you get the kind of rewards depending on, and you're awarded depending on what you did. I really like that about it, by the way. I like the idea that your journey is part of the process. So you don't just get there and trade with Dizzo and Lave. You've actually got a bit more to it than that. So you pick your crew, and you go intergalactic. So I think there's a couple of things to note about this. Firstly, I found the loading quite slow. I don't know if that was just my version that I had as an emulator, so it might just be that. So, but I imagine that this was a disc-based game. There's a lot to it, so I imagine it's probably maybe a bit slow. But it doesn't matter. Loading is loading. But it did take a while. I like the graphics. I think the graphics are really good fun style to them. The approach to this game is to sort of not go down that kind of seriousness of Elite and Mercenary, but go down a more visually compelling, fun kind of route and just take a little bit of the... I hesitate to the term snootiness, really, but it hasn't... Just take the edge off the snootiness that you get with a little bit of those games and just bring it down to a bit more of a playable level with sort of the crew and the fun and bring a bit of fun to it. And I thought that it was really enjoyable. When I got into it and played it, I quite liked it. I think it stood the test of time, this game. I think there's a lot you can go at through it. I like the way that the screen was split up. I like the way that controlled and that worked. I felt like I was actually interacting with crew members. And in that respect, it felt like a very early version of Mass Effect, in the sense that when you're in those controlling your spaceship as... What's the commander's name in Mass Effect? What's his called?
Shepard.
So when you're Shepard, you're going around the crew, and I used to feel like I was always bothering my crew by going around going, "Are you okay? Is everything okay? You okay?" Because you do that a lot in Mass Effect. Is everything okay? But so you just kind of go around crew bothering. So I didn't do that so much in this. I liked it. This is kind of a version of Elite I could get behind if this was like an Elite. So I enjoyed my time with it. It took a while for me to get into it because it took a while for it to work. And at certain points when it was loading, I wasn't sure if anything was going to happen. It was just black screen for what felt like 10 minutes, and then it just appeared. And I had to do as you explained, I had to do a very quick disc swap between the two sides of the disc during the crew selection phase for it to actually continue, because otherwise it didn't do anything. So that was something that, thanks to your input there. So I liked it. Another Accolade game that I liked. I think it's a lot of fun. I see there's a modern version of this too. There's a new version of this, or newer versions. There's one on Steam. Yeah, you can get it on Steam. So this is a game that I've clearly had mileage. So yeah, I think for 88%, I think perhaps it deserved a little bit more, maybe in the 90s. This could have been a sizzler for me. I think I'd have settled it because it is quite unique in its approach to what it's trying to do. But it's just not, it's making intergalactic trading and flying through routes and things not boring. Take a note, Elite. So what did you think?
Yeah. On my way back from Dizzo, I was playing this quite a lot.
Well, when I was trading flutes.
This is good. It's from Accolade again, isn't it? So it's they've done baseball, then they've done the Wild West, and now they've done deep space trading. You can't say they're trading in the same markets here. This is 3 games. It's just weirdness. But no, it's good. It's so. Like you said, you run a ship of disparate elements. You've got weapons engineering, navigation, scanning, and repairs. And you're basically, as you said, tasked with traveling through pirate-filled space to get your cargo to wherever it's supposed to go. You take the short route, whatever. It's very nice. The visuals are lovely. Similar to with the other games, there's a very nice style to them, and there are obviously some nice technique going on there, and really pushing the C64 at this point in time, I think.
I agree.
The different aliens are both, are very varied. Whether they're humanoid, whether they're alien-esque, whether they're robots, or something altogether different. They're kind of all kinds of manner of different things. It's just weird when you get this like a normal bloke called Bob or something in the middle of like Varga Raga and then Jiggalagalagbug, and you're like, what? And it's just Rick. It's like, okay. So I like that, and you can take your pick. I like the option to each role on the ship. You have to. It's almost like going through a CV for each one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's that whole list of things. Yeah.
Yeah, and you go, do I welcome you to the ship or not? Do I? And then even at the end, you can go, are you sure about this? Is this who you want? And I imagine there's probably a sweet crew to get. With a balance of different skills and temperaments and all that you can lead to it. Because I'm not sure the one I picked went very well. Because I got going. The first thing that bothered me was a friend, and then I got told off by my scanning person, alien, that it was a good job she was a woman, because I wasn't doing my job. And I was like, oh, sorry. And then I got beset upon, so I managed to blow one up, and then I just got absolutely mullered. I just got destroyed by multiple, and my weapons guy was like, I'm shooting, and then telling people to repair stuff, and I don't know. It would take a little bit of time. I think it does take a little bit of time to get used to all the different ways of interacting with the crew. It's very good, like Chronos Rift and like Lord of the West. It's all nice. It's all one joystick, one button, no keys. It's nice to see.
Yeah.
So you can do that, and it's quite quick and quite speedy once you get used to it. So I like that. I like that about it. But like you said, it's hard, and I just got destroyed. It reminded me of there was I could see Mass Effect in this, but it reminded me. Did you ever play FTL?
Yes.
That's very much like this, in which you taking your ship through space with a crew, and you're telling them what to do and repair the ship and fighting off pirates. Seems very similar. Obviously, FTL is roguelike based and trying to do a rogue one, so it's not completely, but you can draw a line from that to this.
I think so. I think I agree.
And there's probably lots of steps in the middle, but the thing about I liked about this was, as you said, if there's been a more recent update of the game, then it's clear that the design ethos behind this it works, and I think it does. It's that real time nature of guiding a crew. I mean, I've not played it, but that more recent Star Trek Bridge Commander, is that something like this? I'm not sure if it. I haven't played it, so I don't know.
No, I don't.
But it sounds like it's going to be something like this. I mean, this could be Star Trek the game, really, couldn't it?
Yeah.
If you replace the crew with Star Trek license, you Chekhov and Zulu and Uhura and everybody else on there, you could quite easily see this as a Star Trek, and you can see that that's probably where they've taken inspiration from in 1986.
From that, without a doubt.
And so it is an idea and a design and a game that does stand the test of time, and I think I think the depth within this deserves a Sizzler. I think it's higher than 88%. I think there's enough to this. If something like Zoids gets 96, I think this is up there with that for me. I think this is a similar kind of game that is doing what it's doing and doing it really well. And on top of that, you have lovely presentation, lovely visuals. It's panicky, it's hard, it's challenging. This would be, if I'd have had a disc drive, because I don't think this would work on tape. This would be. I think I might have tried this on tape. Back in 1986, 87, but I think I never gave it more than one go because it just took so long to do anything. So I imagine with a disc drive, this would be something I would have probably played quite a lot and got quite proficient at, maybe, or banged my head against it because I quite like this sort of thing. But yeah, this was good. I enjoyed my time with it. I thought it was fun. Fun in a way that is punishing.
Yes.
So, if you're into S&M, you'd probably like it because it's punishing fun. It's good. Accolade a bit on fire, really, aren't they, at this point in time?
They actually are one of the better publishers for the C64. They've put some really good games of theirs. I mean, they do. I'm sure they do Test Drive later down the line and some others as well.
I think you might be right. Yes.
And that had a really great opening sequence where the car rolled up, and the window came down, and it's just they've got a coolness about them.
Yeah, they're a good development company, and they're putting out some quality titles. And this, because I think they came along with the 3 announcements, didn't they? Came along with Hardball, Law of the West, and PSI 5, and like we said, that's an eclectic mix, and to have them all be a high quality products like they are produced. You've got, a baseball simulator, essentially, a conversation, Wild West conversation thing, and you've got deep space trading, real-time deep space trading combat game. That's no mean feat to pull all 3 of them off and make them all good. Ultimate, take note.
Do take note
at this point. So we like PSI 5 Trading Company. Good fun. Play it. Good. More than we like the next one, I'm going to guess.
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet with this.
Yeah, we'll come back. So be a wise guy. We're talking about Mugsy's Revenge.
Oh, God.
I gotta say it like this. Mugsy. This is, you play this and you're a bit of a mug. The way this is written, it makes me say, hey, I got some good boys for you, Mugsy. I hate this.
What the hell is so funny about me? Tell me.
Oh, God. Mugsy 2 times.
Oh, God.
Right, so this is Mugsy from Melbourne House. Is it a text adventure? Is it a game? I don't know. It's something. It's a mess. That's what it is. It's the Roaring Twenties, and you play Mugsy, a gangster on the up. Yeah, is it, like I said, is this a text-based adventure? What it is a rather shallow gangster options simulator. I don't know how else to...
That's a really good description.
That's it, isn't it? It's what it does.
Yeah.
With some relatively nice but very slowly drawn static screen and the odd animated one. You play Mugsy. You are basically talked at constantly by some person in gangster speak, in 1920s gangster speak.
So annoying.
Constantly just... So, and it's the same all the time. It's essentially all you've got to do is hire some good boys, pay them what they're off, pay the Canadians off, pay the police off, get some barrels, sell them. Random events actually happen now and again. Screen changes, repeat the following year. If you make enough money, you can buy a nightclub. Do you want to knock anyone off? Maybe. And repeat. And the only time, the one thing when I thought did the right thing, because in my first playthrough, I didn't pay the police off. And so the guy goes, "Hey, you're making a bit of a mistake there, Mugsy. You should pay him off."
Is that how you heard his voice?
Absolutely, 100%. That's exactly how I heard his voice. And I went, no, I'm not paying him anything. And then it went, well, that says out in our ear. You walked away with 17 grand and you're down to your thing. I was like, you know what? I'm happy that I'm out the gangster game. I'm still alive and I've walked away with 17 grand in 1920. I'm set for life.
Until they pull you back in.
Yeah, they pulled me back in. Oh dear, this game was bad. And it's forced humour. In the second game, I hired Pat McGroyne.
That does matter. That is stupid, but it made me laugh.
And Chunky Linguini.
Yes.
Oh God, it's all so slow and dull. I made it through 2 years, and then that was it. I was done. It's annoying music. The colloquial dialogue is annoying. It's slow. It's turgid. It's boring. It's repetitive. I put it's nothing but a boring game and a badge. That was my comment on it.
I like it. I like that review.
What else is it? I don't know. Did you get anything from this? Did you enjoy it at all in any way?
Of course I didn't. It's bloody horrible. I'll tell you. Let me read my notes for this because they're quite simple and straightforward.
You have to do it in your gangster voice.
Okay, Mugsy. No. I found this game horrible to look at and took no enjoyment from it. That was my first sentence. I put make choices, spend money by typing in commands, and then you get to read text written in quasi-gangster talk. Awful music simply seals the crappy deal. This one should be sleeping with the fishes. That was my review.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I couldn't get my head around it. When I was presented with this blocky monstrosity of an image, which kind of meant to look like a shifty gangster, when it actually just looked more like a detective.
Yes, yeah, it did.
And then, so you go, oh, Mugsy, you gotta go spend some cash on the, and I'm like, what is this crazy?
Is that how you heard his voice?
Do you know, I didn't. I had more of a sort of a, I'm gonna sleep with a vision. Kind of more of a,
he ain't got tangerines and stuck in his mouth, though. He was too...
either the Godfather type, because he this goes, hey, Mugsy, what you doing? Oh, so it's either the, do you know with the film Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yeah,
so it's either the chief of the sort of weasel police, whatever they're called, I'll leave him out to dry, that kind of voice. Yeah. Or you've got to have the boss casino guy from the movie Casino, what do you mean? That kind of voice. So
Mugsy,
you
got to pay the good boys off in Canada.
What do you mean? We go in Canada and they're not doing our business? What are you talking about? So you can hear it in those. I suppose it's fun in sort of thinking of which gangster, because you could do an Al Pacino sort of Scarface, hey, kind of, couldn't you? Say hello to my little friend, that kind of thing. That was actually more. I don't know what that was really. Anyway, stereotyping every gangster movie aside, this was just crap, wasn't it? It's meant to be kind of comic booky, I think, looking. It wasn't, though. They look like detectives, not gangsters. And I was looking at it going, why is it called Mugsy's Revenge? Okay, I'm Mugsy the gangster, but he looks like a detective. But anyway, and it drew the screens. I don't like games that do that too much, but I suppose it's 8 bits. It's a limitation. I don't know. This just felt like they'd merged two games together badly. That's what it felt like to me. So this was a typing adventure that they'd thrown graphics in and made a bit. And there's actually an arcade mini game in there. Did you get to that?
No.
So
No.
there is a mini game in it where you're getting shot at by. I never got to it, so you could maybe YouTube it. I never found it, and I don't know what triggers it. Something does, but
There's some weird animated bit
weird.
where it's like a pool, people playing pool.
yeah.
Did you see that screen?
Yeah, bizarre. Yeah.
I didn't understand what it was.
No.
And then someone gets beaten up, I think, inside, and the curtains come down, or the drapes, not drapes.
No.
You would have drapes in a pool hall. This is a very posh pool hall. Draw the drapes.
And I found that the choices that I made all seemed completely arbitrary as long as I paid people off.
Yeah, exactly.
So
That's
it was
what I
like,
mean.
You got to pay these guys, Mugsy. Okay, £5. Mugsy, it's not enough, but okay, they'll take it.
The first time I didn't pay the police, and that was end of game. I was like, well, why give me the choice?
Just, you know what? No Mugs's revenge, because
What should have happened is, the police picked up the shipment, and you didn't get any barrels through.
Exactly. And it's that Untouchables idea, isn't it? It borrows heavily from the Untouchables, I think, is the truth of it.
This is before the Untouchables,
Elliot Ness isn't new to the Untouchables, is what I mean. That idea
that
idea of prohibition era
it's
gangsters.
prohibition, exactly,
The idea of all that, running booze from Canada and all that lot. Now, it's Al Pacino-y, isn't it? So it's kind of Mugsy Al Pacino-y, stuffy, but it's just a nonsense. And
Beer Baron.
$8.95, another Melbourne House disaster. So, just honestly, just give up and don't play this, is my advice. Don't go back and revisit this one.
Yeah.
You'll not get anything from it.
33% was bang on.
Yes.
Bang on for this.
Yes.
Because it's awful. It's really bad. It's dull, it's boring, and there's nothing to it. You've got no options.
Bloody awful music.
Don't give me options where there are no options.
No. And if there was ever a game that needed speech, this would be one that would probably need it. So put speech in it.
Could you imagine 8-bit gangster speech?
I'd rather have that than that music. Mugsy, you need to go to the data.
My Zoom has just popped up saying, "Are you playing music?" No, I'm not Zoom. I'm glad to think I am.
No, just Mugs's revenge. It should sleep with the fishes. No.
Yeah.
Make it an offer you can't refuse. Don't play it.
Absolutely. This one ain't dragging me back in.
No, absolutely not. No.
And anyway, no more gangster puns. Move on. Let's move on, for God's sake.
Let's move on before Benny Blanco from the Bronx gets us.
Absolutely. Dig 2 graves. Don't know why. There's only one of you.
And I got to kill both of you.
But there's only one of me.
I want to kill myself, put myself in the other hole.
Yeah, but I'm Jimmy sees 2 people.
Oh, dear me.
You'd be a terrible gangster. Anyway, let's move on, for God's sake, to our next game. Our last game for this section. And that game is Ark Pandora. Now, I mentioned this last week in relation to Hocus Pocus, because I thought it was quite similar. But Graham, what did you think to Ark Pandora?
So I suppose, what did I think to it? I'll come to what is it?
Yeah, what is it? You tell us.
So you were a gangster pirate, and then you get imprisoned for life, and then people on the prison island that you're on decide that they're going to let you go, but you've got one condition: you've got to remove the evil. I guess I hesitate to use leader, but leader of some kind of. I think it's a gang. I don't know, but you've got to remove the leader. So in other words, you've got things to do. In order to leave the island, you've got things to do. So guess what? This is a wander around the map. Pick up find the thing, to do the thing, to click on the thing, to solve the puzzle, to find the thing, to remove the thing, and the cult members will try and stop you, but the people of the island will help you, and it's a flick screen arcade-a-thon. There's a bit of a split screeny thing going on. You control the guy in the top half, and he walks around. I found his animation and walking a bit basic-y and naff, really, but it was. And then you've got icons. Guess what? Yes, what? You've got icons at the bottom to control things. Like, oh, really? This is the new thing, isn't it? So let's just throw icons and controls. So you've got direction arrows. I found that really stupid about this game, by the way, that I had to keep going back to because I went to the edge of the screen and then I had to tell it that I wanted to go to the next screen, and that got tiring very quickly.
One of my comments is, why do I have to press an arrow to move to the next screen?
Yes, it just let me go there. Don't assume that if I'm aiming that way, I'm going to go. I don't need to just keep. It's like someone going, do you want to go there? Do you want to go there? You want to go this
every time?
It's like that Microsoft paperclip from years ago. You're writing a letter. I'm like, get lost. So, so the idea is you progress.
Hey, you're writing a letter.
Hey, you're writing a letter. Hello,
gangster clip.
Mugsy's revenge. Yeah, you're writing a letter, Mugsy.
I see you're not writing it in gangster speak.
You're not writing it in gangster speak, but
let me just translate it for you.
For $10, I'll just translate it for you. So in this game, you progress around the island, look, find, you got an inventory, guess what, pick up, use, drop. You get the idea of where I'm going with that. So I found it very blocky and I called this new genre, I've got a name for it, this is a wanderathon. So just wandering around, wandathon. Blocky graphics, I moved from left to right-ish because weirdly it inhibited me, which I still can't get my head around. And I suppose it's kind of point and click, for want of a better term, but I just called it pointless and click because it just felt a bit like I didn't really have anything to do that much. Not my cup of tea. The only good thing about it is it's got a really nice bit of Ben Daglish music in there. So and I think it's the first time we've encountered a Ben Daglish score official that we've mentioned. And it's a good one, that Pandora. I actually remember the Ark Pandora music for its use in many, 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 many demos. So, because it was kind of the de facto go-to. It must have been easy to rip or something because it was in loads of demos around that time. But long and the short of it is, as a game, I didn't enjoy it. I don't really get on with these pointless and click games that much, and I certainly don't get along with this one. It was a full price. It was a whopper. Zach gave it 80%. I don't get what's going on with them. I wouldn't give it. I would say it's not terrible. There's a big game in there, and if you like that kind of wander around, pick up stuff, do all that. If you like that kind of thing, then you'll probably play this like you might like Finders Keepers, or you might like any one of another billion games that do this exact same thing with the added Confusatron that is the let's try and throw icons in it for no reason whatsoever. Just make the controls more difficult. Let's do that. So I think it's generous at 80%. I'd have hit it around the 50 to 60 mark myself. I think if you like these kind of games, and if you like mapping again, you're going to dig them, and especially because this one helps you do the map by stopping you progressing on every screen.
Well, I couldn't quite figure it out because I'm not too dissimilar to you in the general overview of this. Flick screen icon driven thing. Why do I have to press? There's some nice, and the music is very because it says Daglish and Krauser, doesn't it? So are they Wii Music at this point?
Probably, yeah.
Have they become Wii Music?
I think actually there was a Wii Music sound sampler. And it's on that, so I think it is Wii Music, yeah. So,
because I think whenever they did anything together, Crowther and Daglish, they were Wii Music.
Yeah, and I think, and I don't know whether Tony Crowther made the player, because I think he wrote the player for Ben Daglish to be able to put the notes in. I remember a conversation with him where that's what he said. But either way, yes, I think it's Wii Music at this point because and it's on the Wii Music sound sample. I'm pretty sure of it.
Oh, there you go. Well, yeah. I mean, they will become Wii Music. As I said, I've noted if they are this at this point, I'm not sure. But pointless screen after pointless screen soon leads to boredom. I just go play Frank Goes to Hollywood instead. It's way better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
because that's what this feels like. It feels like Frank Goes to Hollywood, but Frank Goes to Hollywood does it all properly. It does it better. It's this, but better. And this, I didn't find anything. So I ran from screen, and what I couldn't quite understand, the arrows at the bottom, because you can pull down at any point and press 5 buttons to go to those icons. And if you press down at certain points, you'd move. Are you moving downwards? Are they? I couldn't map. I couldn't figure it was like turn it off, turn a nog. Or Tiana Nog, I think is the pronunciation. I still can't get that.
Yeah, it's Tiana Nog, isn't it?
Yeah, Tiana Nog or whatever. Yeah. And I couldn't get past that. It felt like they're trying to make this 3D world, but it's not clear because it's not clear. And so this was a big, again, 80%. The only good thing about this is that music.
Yeah.
The animation's okay on the main character. Although he does have a really OTT jump.
Yes, it's a bit much.
It's like a massive it's like a Kirk dive.
It's a bit of a flyer
from Star Trek 6. And I didn't get it. I just didn't understand what I was doing. I couldn't find any objects to actually pick up. And I wandered around for ages. And then also as well, did you find this, that whenever you ran into someone, they just sort of exploded?
Yes. I didn't quite get my head around what I was doing to make that happen. I thought it was
me.
But
I was losing energy, and then suddenly I was dead. I was like, oh. Yeah. I thought, I didn't... What am I? Am I some kind of, lethal, don't touch me thing from an X-Files or something? It just was weird. I didn't get it. I didn't understand the premise of this. I didn't understand what I was supposed to be doing. I read the instructions, I read around it, but the game didn't bear any kind of resemblance to that. Like you said, I guess if you're into this sort of flick screen wanderer borathon, you'd want to get something out of this, but I think the best thing was that the music was taken out of this and put in demos.
Yeah, massively so.
But I do think it is weird to watch this evolution of put icons in it.
Yes, it seems to be in a lot of things now, doesn't it? And I think, if I'm not mistaken, by the way, I think that the Ark Pandora music was one of the pieces that was in Real Writer. And for those C64 people out there that have got a bit of an affinity for some of the CompuNet and some of the early demo tools that came out, Real Writer was perhaps one of the first things you might have encountered, where you wrote your stuff on the screen and it replayed it back, and you could pick music to do that too. And Ark Pandora was one of those in there. I remember it well. That and Formula One by Rob Hubbard was both in there. So,
there you go.
So that's not about the game, though. The game was just a wondathon.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. No.
Ark Pandora.
Yes, it is Pandorian, isn't it? Yeah. Pointless clicking and silly use of icons for no reason whatsoever. So
yeah, just if you're going to use icons, then do something with them, or don't. If the game doesn't need them, don't shovel them in.
Don't make me have to choose to go to the next screen. Just assume if I'm
so frustrating.
If I go to the edge of the screen, I want to go there.
Yeah, don't let me move an arrow to point to click another arrow.
No,
I've already gone there.
Yes,
you just no, enough of that. Anyway, that's that. That's our games from the first part. We like sci-fi, PSI5 trading company, whatever it is. We don't like Mugsy. We don't like Mugsy Red.
No one likes Mugsy. You're saying you don't like Mugsy? You're going to swim with the fishes.
And we weren't particularly fond of Ark Pandora. So there you go. Oh, it's a good month, isn't it?
Yeah, juggle them balls.
It's a great month this month.
Yeah.
Well, we really do play them, so you don't have to.
I feel like someone's given us a frying pan, but they've done a shit in it. So we've got a great frying pan, non-stick.
Hey, Mugsy, have this Cleveland steamer.
Cleveland steamer. That is the official name for that now. That's brilliant. For you, it's a Cleveland steamer. Give him a Cleveland steamer. It's better than buckwheats, that.
I just want to hear how many gangster voices you can say it in.
I'm trying to think of them now. I think I've run out. You've got husky kind of guy. Give him a Cleveland.
You got squeaky.
Give him a Cleveland steamer, because that's more the early Al Pacino voice, isn't it? When he's in them early films, he does that kind of. He goes from he's up there, isn't he? And then later in the films, he's kind of down there. And I don't do impersonations of Al Pacino professionally.
And with good cause.
With good cause. With the techniques of modern editing, we don't need Al Pacino. No, we really do.
We really do. Get Al Pacino in.
Yeah, quickly, yeah.
and get rid of him. He's rubbish.
Yeah, he can bring his little friend if it helps.
But don't say hello to it.
No one says hello to his little friend.
No, right.
You'll just pull him back in.
Stop. God. Right. We'll be back in a moment with films and TV from May 1986. So see you when you sleep with the fishes.
See you in a moment.
Oh, God. Here we go. Thanks to our sponsor, DavidHearnWriter.com, where you'll find dirt cheap books. Dave's next book, Escape from the Commodore 64, sees someone stuck in their computer. They have to solve one of the games to escape. Imagine finding yourself in a house with a little computer person who's as trapped as you are. Is the only way out of the game to starve them to virtual death? It's coming soon via Amazon, Kindle and Audible. Visit DavidHearnWriter.com, that's David, Hearne, writer.com to find out more. Alright, and we are back. We are back with film and TV from May 1986. So yeah, TV. What was going on in the world of TV? 1st of May. Let's get on with this. Your name just appeared on my screen. Stop changing things.
It was in micro typeface.
It was, but I could read it.
Anyway, you would be able to.
That's true. Anyway, 1st of May. The sitcom Bread received its debut airing on BBC One. Now, I would think because of your love for the word bread, you would love this show.
I don't know much about it, apart from that it had, it was set in Liverpool. It was Carla Lane, I believe.
It is.
And I can remember it had a family in it, and there was a real kind of cool kind of dude guy.
Joey.
Joey, that's it. But I can't remember, what was the surname of the family? They were the... I can't remember what they were called.
Can't remember. It'll come to us.
But it was a character-based sitcom, wasn't it, of sorts? And I remember watching a couple of episodes of it, and it wasn't really my demographic at that time. I have to say, I wasn't really going to be one that was going to sit down and enjoy a good episode of Bread. I think my mum, is more. I think she sat and watched it because she liked all the Carla Lane stuff around that time.
It was the Boswell family. Joey Boswell.
I remember there being a granddad Boswell who was kind of a bit of a character, and it was just run characters from a Liverpudlian working class family making a living. It was a kind of a northern Liverpudlian version of Only Fools and Horses in a weird way, I think, in that sort of family drama with a family and granddad and uncle and all that kind of stuff. And I don't remember it being anything other than quite funny, but I don't remember watching a lot of it, I have to say. Did you watch it? Was you a Bread fan?
I wasn't a massive Bread fan.
So it wasn't a Bread winner for you?
Third of May. It was all right. I don't know where to go after that. That's so bad. Just sometimes I'm stunned. Bread was okay. I remember watching it because I think you didn't have control of the TV.
No.
So at that time on a Sunday night, you were kind of putting off going to bed.
Yeah.
Because the sooner you went to bed, the sooner you were back at school.
Yeah.
So you wanted to stay up, and I think it usually came on. I think it was a Sunday evening.
Yeah.
Around about sort of 9:30ish. So you kind of wanted to stay up, and maybe as well you also wanted to stay up. And I think That's Life was on after it.
Yeah, that was on 9:00 Sunday night, wasn't it? So it probably was.
Yeah. So you kind of wanted to watch that. You wanted to see Cyril with his in his chair do his crazy stuff. Hello, and and that's that sort of Sunday night routine. So Bread, I think, became part of that. My brother, I think my mum watched it. It was, it was a kind of the pseudo. It was not directly, but it was. I think it was Carla Lane's follow up to Butterflies.
It was, yes.
Which I watched quite a lot. My brother loved that, and I watched that. And I really enjoyed Butterflies. It was that was really good. I don't think I quite engaged with Bread as much because I think maybe I was just maybe got a little bit older and this was not really aimed at me.
No, as I say, I wasn't the demographic for that show at all.
Yeah, but it was a very big. I think we remember it being a very big deal at the time, and it did very well. I think Carla Lane was a very respected. I mean, not think. I know she was a very respected sort of gentle sitcom, wasn't it? I don't know how you. What's the word? It's more character driven. To whereas Only Fools and Horses, and were more laugh.
Yes.
Laugh-a-thons. These were more kind of poignant.
Yeah, I don't think it had canned laughter on it or anything like that, whereas Only Fools and Horses did. So
yeah, and that was certainly the thing with Butterflies. And I think Bread may have been more slightly a bit broader because its characters were a bit broader, I think, than the Butterflies one. So, but it was a big deal, and it started in May 1986. 3rd of May. A new Saturday morning TV series for children, Get Fresh, hosted by Gareth Jones. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do remember it, because I remember the stupid title sequence, Get Fresh! And I think this is the birth of Timmy Mallet. He might have made his first appearances on that, or it might have been something else. I could be wrong. It doesn't matter. It was kind of, the whole idea of Get Fresh was this kind of, it was the beginning of that idea of that language. So Get Fresh is kind of a throw into that kind of house, Get Fresh house. It's hard to describe it, but it's a terminology that was kind of pervading.
Was it something from the Mel and Kim song, which Get Fresh for the weekend? Was that a lyric?
But it's not
Get
from
fresh
that.
For the weekend.
It's that language. It's that kind of language. So getting fresh was a thing, and it was kind of ITV's attempt to leap onto that kind of the spirit of youth of what they're talking about and the way they talk, and and add that kind of them horrible graphics that those TV shows had, where it was just, if you YouTubed it or Googled it, you'd see what I mean. But it's got that kind of horrible 80s style to the graphics. The tonality is all Get Fresh and house
if you
vibes.
just hover over the link in the actual notes, you'll get the logo come up. You'll hate it.
Yeah, yes, it's a perfect example of why I hate it. Yes, yeah. So it's that horrible angular triangle that actually looks like Get Cock as well in a weird way. So, but you see what I mean? It's very modernist, very modern type.
It does. It does look like Get Cock.
That's a very modern typographic idea. It's an idea that they need. I think there was an acknowledgement around this time that children's youth TV was missing its demographic mark by some margin, and ITV were wanting to differentiate themselves from the BBC approach to that, which was always a watch with mother kind of vibe. Up until theirs was always on the gentler side of youth approach for Saturday.
Did this follow Tiswas?
Yes, it was. I think it was, no, because number 73 came after Tiswas, I think. So, but this came after that. It's their refresh. You know, they periodically these things go from Swap Shop on the BBC to Saturday Live to Going Live and all that kind of stuff. And this was their progression from Tiswas, which was anarchic, crazy stuff, to number 73, which was, I'm not even sure what you can even describe as number 73, but Sandy Toksvik in a sandwich competition tells you it was random. And then it went to Get Fresh, which was, and I imagine it's, you know, without looking at the wiki entries or anything, I imagine it was trying to target a very specific demographic, probably because that's the way, because ITV's commercial, so a way to get those less toy adverts and more, you know, youth, teen market, maybe that's what they were trying to approach. I don't know. You'd have to hit up the there are some things that came from it though, aren't there? I seem to remember that Gilbert was a character in Gilbert the Alien was in Get Fresh. I think that's where he first appeared.
I was always a BBC on a Saturday morning. I was a BBC kid.
Yeah, same. I didn't
if
do a
I
lot
watched
of
anything,
ITV.
it was going live for me.
Yeah, Tiswas was when it ended. That was,
I think
that was
Tiswas
the end
was the
for
only
ITV
thing. Yeah,
for me.
Yeah, because then Tiswas morphed into that awful late night thing, didn't it? OTT, was it OTT?
Oh god, that was the adult Tiswas. It was crap. Absolutely,
it was awful.
Crap.
Just men in nappies and stuff.
I just quickly glanced at the wiki page for this. I didn't realise that Gareth Jones is AKA Gaz Top. So this is Gaz Top.
Yeah.
So that's who it was, and he was known apparently for playing Adrian Mole. Didn't know that either. There you go.
He wasn't Adrian Mole.
It says there that, well, no, maybe he wasn't.
He's a bit old for Adrian Mole at that point.
Yeah, oh no, sorry, I read it wrong. No, he wasn't. It was someone called Jan Samarko. I don't know if that was whether he featured in it or something, but either way.
Maybe.
So
anyway,
yeah, that was their attempt at that demographic, I think.
There we go. 12th of May, Naked Video started. Remember Naked Video?
No, just refresh my memory because it'll probably come back to me.
It's the Scottish sort of sitcom sketch show with which birthed Rabsy Nesbitt.
Ah, yes, I do remember it now. That's the one with Come to Stonybridge.
Yes, that's the one.
Yes,
yeah, it had its moments. Naked Video.
Yes,
I wouldn't religiously watch it, but obviously Rabsy Nesbitt became a bit of a staple and a spin-off.
Early precursor to series that came later, like Fast Show and other types, wasn't it? So
yes, but I mean this. Probably riffing on things like not the 9 o'clock news.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And obviously Monty Python before then. It's a sketch show, but it was mostly remembered I think for the Rabsy Nesbitt.
Yeah,
link.
totally. Yeah,
that's where it came from. But there's probably lots of other things in there. Like I said, I didn't watch it religiously, but whenever it's on, because I think because it was obviously a Scottish show, and it was mostly on Scottish BBC. So we didn't get it regularly. I don't think.
No, I don't know how scheduled it was.
South of the border.
Yeah.
14th of May, one for you. ITV airs the British television premiere of Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.
Oh, what a cracking film that is. What a cracking film. Do you know, I actually saw, right, we had a what we used to call, it was film club. Now, we're going back to when I was at junior school. And they did a film club, and they showed the Black Hole at one point in this film club. And there was actually a film that this projected, and it had sound. I don't know how this was sourced or how it came to be, or I don't know any of the details. But I remember going in the hall, the main hall of the school I was in, and they would show this, and it wasn't a great experience. But because essentially sometimes it was just the big school TV with the big, the one that had the wings.
Oh, the wings and the wheels and the wings that the man in the brown coat would wheel in.
A school hall with lots of rowdy kids in it and chairs, and a big TV showing Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. I remember it to this day. One, for several reasons. One, because I remember sitting right at the front because I love Star Trek. I wouldn't go as far as say I'm a mega Trekker, but I really like this, and I like Star Trek, and I particularly like that Star Trek movie, even as a kid. But I remember watching it, and I remember the scene where he drops the bug into the helmet and it crawls into Chekhov's ear. It freaked the audience out. There was these 4 or 4 girls who were kind of messing about, not taking Star Trek seriously, which in my world at that time was a very serious crime. and I knew that bit was coming. I can't remember how I'd even seen this before, but I think this is one of the benefits of having an older brother sometimes.
Probably on video, yeah.
Either on video or perhaps he described it. He once described the shot-for-shot description of Dawn of the Dead. So accurate to me, I had nightmares for weeks when I was very young. So, with the old version of Dawn of the Dead. So I remember that. And I remember freaking these youngish, I think, I won't even say teenage, pre-teens, really. I don't know how old we would have been when we were watching this then. But anyway, freak them out because it's horrible, isn't it? The sequence when it goes in his ear and
absolutely.
It's not nice. It's that close-up shot and it's squirming and crawling. what a great film. Now, I imagine there was probably bits cut out for the ITV version because they did that a lot then. So I bet this is a really heavily edited version. So there's certain things you can't edit out. But
don't forget as well that this would have been shown in 4:3.
Yes.
So you'd have been really, really close to what's his face's chest.
Yes, it's hairy because of course, yes, he would have been.
Ricardo Montalban. Is it
Yes,
Ricardo Montalban?
Ricardo Montalban. You can.
Yeah. So you'd have been massive because obviously when it's full screen, when it's widescreen, you've got some distance.
So it's really wide.
Yeah, you've got some distance from his chest, but in 4:3, you'd be able to count the chest hairs on. You'd be far too close to Ricardo Montalban's chest for my liking.
Absolutely. And do you know what? This Star Trek film has always been the one to beat out of all the Star Trek films, even all the ones that have come afterwards. This one has always been the one to beat. There's even a director's cut of that out now, which is really interesting to watch. It's always been the one to beat, and it was great. I remember watching it on TV. I remember watching that with my dad because he was a Star Trek fan as well. It was compulsive in our house because back then you shared a TV for the whole house, like you were described with the.
You didn't have control of it.
So when that film was coming on, not only was we told that it was on, with an alarming clarity as he sounded the Star Trek bell around the whole house. But of course, we were expected to watch it. It was like if that was on, like when 2001 was on the time, it was expected that we would sit and watch that. So so at least this one I enjoyed because 2001 when I was watching that as a young kid, I'm going what? And I didn't ask questions because it was a very bad juju. If you asked my dad a question while he was watching a sci-fi movie, that and cowboy films, he couldn't. But it's a great film. It still is. I still watch it now. Great.
Mm-hmm. I prefer 6, but that's me.
It's got that crappy Scooby-Doo ending in it, so 6 is crap compared to 2. Sorry, but it is. Ironically, same director, but
it is. Yeah, but I like the.
You can't tell me that prison sequence is
no, it's not. But there's bad bits in 2 as well. And the thing is, I'll qualify that. I think 6 has higher highs than 2, and it's the higher highs that get me. I'm not a massive Star Trek fan. I never have been. So I get them. I can give them or take this. But 5 is just so bad. 4 is funny as hell. 3 is okay. 1 is weird. 2 is a really good film, and 6 is a really good film. But yes, that prison sequence is stupid.
It is.
But it makes me laugh. I like the level of comedy in it, and also it's got the single best moment of space combat in the Star Trek films.
Oh, God, no, it's not.
It is the bit where they team up on the bird of prey coming out of the cloak.
That's literally 20 seconds from that whole film.
I don't care. It makes the entire film, and also it's got Kirk's dive. And for Kirk's dive, I'll always watch it.
No.
I love 6.
That cannot beat anything in Wrath of Khan. It can't. And I tell you, remember that Wrath of Khan does have an advantage over 6, which is that it's actually based on another episode. So it's a follow-on.
Yes.
So it has, and I suppose in all fairness, 6 doesn't have that.
Alpha Ceti 5 or 6, whatever.
Alpha Ceti.
What's he say?
Ceti Alpha 5, goddammit.
Oh, Ceti Alpha. Oh, God. I know it's Alpha Ceti. It's Ceti Alpha.
You've got to get this kind of stuff right.
Sorry.
No, but it is good. Then, like you say, 6 is a good movie in its own right, and there's an up in the ante of the effects, and there's all sorts of good stuff. And it's really the last one where the characters are quite good. The original original cast members are quite good and fun in it, and I quite like that because obviously after that comes that awful one with Picard and Kirk, and then it goes downhill. Generations, and it goes downhill after that. You get the odd one. Full Contact is quite an okay one. Anyway, we're not here to debate all the different Star Trek
First Contact.
Films.
Full Contact would be a whole different thing.
It's First Contact. Yeah, Full Contact should have been. But we're not here to debate all the different Star Treks. Suffice to say, interesting that it was on at TV, and I liked it when they used to do premieres of TV movies like that.
Because you'd always get the. I'd love to see it because you always used to get the bespoke advert.
Oh yes.
Graphic.
Sting. Yeah, the Sting before the thing.
So the graphic, whatever. I always remember the one for Jaws. It was a really, really badly drawn shark.
Yeah.
It was terrible. It's like a bent shark.
Yeah, I think it's just in between.
rubbish.
Just as it gets to the adverts, it should just be Kurt going, "Khan!" every time. Come get back in, quick.
All you get now is you just watching a program, and all you get now is, and it'll just cut to the Peugeot 305.
Yeah. Yeah, or that
sponsored by Cadbury's.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Or that
Get off.
Volvo one that seems to be on every time. Isn't it?
Yeah, or that one that was on McDelivery.
Yeah, delivery. Yeah.
Go away.
Get lost. Yeah,
I hate sponsorship.
yeah.
Not ours though. I love our sponsor.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and we do. But
We do.
we're talking about.
But
this is kind of
it's a
TV
different
annoying.
thing. Yeah,
it's totally
absolutely.
different thing. Yeah.
It's very
absolutely
different.
is.
I've always hated adverts. Always.
Yes.
That's just me. As in TV adverts.
Yes.
I'm qualifying this very carefully.
Yes.
Cut this bit out.
We'll remove this bit.
26th of May. The Zapped show started.
Is it started or did it end? Is that when it started? I thought it was on before that.
Well, 1986 and 1991. I don't even know. It must have been later, but according to what I was looking at, it started then.
Terrible.
I don't know.
Terrible.
Yeah. Awful. I mean, but I thought it was worth the mention since we've had the game and stuff. Was he in a different show?
No,
Zapped?
This actually started out life, according to the wiki entry. It started out life as the Freddie Starr Variety Madhouse, and then there was a cast of people.
Where you had Zapped and Cooperman and Blunder.
Zapped was part of Freddie Starr's show. And then I'm guessing Freddie Starr at this point, something controversial happened. Could it be that he used to dress as Nazis? Or could it be that who knows what caused Freddie Starr's...
He did that Fokker joke, didn't he, on Des O'Connor?
Yeah, that would probably see him off. Anyway, it ended up then being the Comedy Madhouse, featuring, obviously, Russ Abbott, but also Les Dennis, Bella Emberg, all that lot. Michael Barrymore made him appearance.
Russ Abbott's Madhouse, yeah.
So
and then it was a Russ Abbott show.
Yeah, and then it transferred over to the BBC.
So it just came over to the BBC. Yes, I see. So there you go.
Yeah.
But it's still crap. I hated Russ Abbott. I hated the robot version of him.
Yes, I was never really, if you think of some of his characters, it was just kind of they did that a lot, that kind of character thing. I would say Freddie Mercury then. Kenny Everett did a lot of that kind of similar kind of thing where he just had some Gizzard Puke character and Sid Snot and just characters like that. And he was no different. So he had Cooperman, but he also had See You Jimmy, which is kind of the Scottish kind
That's what I mean.
that kind of thing. And just not
But
funny.
Kenny Everett was funny.
Yeah, and of course, remember the song he wrote was Songs of Joy and Tears of Laughter. Well, it wasn't any tears of laughter for me. It was,
no joy either.
No, it wasn't great. And I'm surprised it went on for that long. It was 7 series, 7 series. Goodness me.
I mean, don't forget, this is the time of little and large as well.
Yeah,
Prime time Saturday night TV.
Yeah, is it light entertainment, wasn't it? So sketch show, light entertainment. There was quite a few of them around at that time, I think.
Yeah, there was. There you go. Much TV. Films. Now, we've been referencing the wrong film for the last few episodes with Billy Ocean.
Yeah.
Because obviously we should have guessed because no one would have known anything about Romancing the Stone before it was out. So 2nd of May, the Duel of the Nile appears, which is the follow-up to Romancing the Stone, which is, I think it's a couple of years earlier, with Joan Wilder.
Yes, that's right.
And Joan Wilder, so was Kathleen Turner, Michael Douglas, and Danny DeVito. And we've had the song. The song was number 1 for ages.
Yep.
When the going gets tough for Billy Ocean. And this is the follow-up. So this is a different kind of film. Has a bit of they've tried to go all messagey with this rather than just being a sort of high hokum adventure. They've tried to go a bit different. And this isn't as good as the first one.
No.
And has terrible effects.
Very bad.
It has really, really bad effects when he comes walking through the flames towards the end. It's really bad.
They must be bad because you remember them, and that's a sign of a bad effect.
I haven't seen this film for years.
I mean, that is the sign of a bad effect, isn't it?
Yeah, this sticks in my head, and I remember at the time going, "Oh, that's really bad." But yeah, it's not. It obviously trade. I think the thing was, Romancing the Stone was kind of an unexpected hit.
Yes.
I'm not sure people were expecting it to be as big as it was, and I think because it was fun, it was unusual. It had a good chemistry between the two leads, and obviously, as soon as something's a hit in Hollywood, sequel is written.
Yeah,
and this just has that feel of let's just make another one, and people like these characters, and we'll call it the Jewel of the Nile, and we'll say they're going after the jewel, but it'll actually be a person, and it all got a bit mystical and stupid.
Kathleen Turner was very popular at this time as well, wasn't she? She was a very, very attractive looking actress back in the day, and she was in a lot of these films. I remember mainly from Man with Two Brains, actually, and her role in that. But I remember her being in these films, and
what are those assholes doing by the door? They're pronounced azaleas. I love Man with Two Brains.
The pointy bird, pointy. Yeah,
you can murmur all you like. Murmur.
Yeah, so I remember
good.
mainly from that, and obviously in that she's kind of scantily clad and kind of a sort of predatory woman, and so she's a very different actress in this, of course. But
Yeah, and she did Pritch's Honor as well. There was
big
lots
box
of things
office
in
hit,
it. And
Duel
she
in
would
the
go
Nile.
on, and she would go on to be Chandler's dad in Friends.
Yes, there's a turn up. Yeah, Kathleen Turner.
Good,
Yeah.
great bit of casting that. Really good.
She was also Jessica Rabbit, man, the voice of Jessica Rabbit in Roger Rabbit. There you go.
Yes, she wasn't bad. She was just drawn that way.
She was just drawn that way. I'm not bad. Yeah, classic.
Yeah. So that's good. It's okay. It's not bad. The Duel in the Nile. It's just not as good as Romance in the Stone.
No.
The Cotton Club was out also on that day. So that's Richard Gere.
Oh, it's the Coppola movie, isn't it?
It is. It's also we could draw a parallel with that. And hey, Mugsy, because it's about 1920s. 1920s. So it's Richard Gere doing Mugsy.
Oh, Mugsy, have you seen my latest film? Is it Diane Lane is in that as well, I think?
It's about a club. I don't think I've ever seen it. I've heard of it and know of it, but I've never watched it. It's not my cup of tea.
It's not on my Coppola list, I'm afraid.
No, that's my Coppola list is quite short.
Yeah.
But that's not on it. 9th of May though was the Money Pit.
Oh, that's what's his name?
That's the Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks. That's
Tom Hanks, Shelley Long. I have a soft spot for that film. I quite like that film.
Well, you have a soft spot for early Tom Hanks movies, though.
I do have a soft spot. Things like Bachelor Party.
Yeah, Money Pit.
That's good. Money Pit. Obviously, Big. I suppose he's in that
What's
period.
What's the one where is he in Splash?
Dragnet, Splash. Yeah. He's the Money Pit. He's just likable, and there's a great sequence in that where he gets stuck in the floor,
he just sinks into the floor. Yeah.
And he's just stuck there for ages.
Yeah.
It's just his performance. He was a really, really good comic performer in the 80s.
Yes, he was.
He was just, and I think also the Burbs.
Yeah.
I love the Burbs. But the Money Pit is it's not laugh out loud funny, but it's just there's something about it that is sort of endearing and a bit nice. And they buy for those who don't know the Money Pit, they buy this house and to do it up. But it becomes a money pit. It becomes everything they try and fix goes wrong, and they just end up pumping all their money, and their relationship goes to because of him and Shelley Long, who you may remember as Diane in Cheers.
That's right.
They eventually they fall out. It's typical of these things do. Their relationship comes under strain because of all the thing. But this is a light-hearted comedy, so eventually they realise that their relationship is more important than the house itself and anything materialistic.
Yes,
I believe is that. So it's a nice film. It's harmless. It's okay. I enjoyed my time. I think I went to Whitgift to see that.
Did you really?
Yeah. Went with my brother, I think. I went to Whitgift to see pretty much anything I could. 16th of May,
Actually,
though, which I think is the best film. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say just on a little linkage, I noticed that Joe Mantegna is in the Money Pit, and of course he does the voice of the yard trimmings for the gangster in The Simpsons. So it's just linking it back to Mugsy.
He does. Joe Mantegna, isn't he?
Mantegna.
Is it
Mantegna?
Isn't he thingy in The Matrix as well? The one who dobs them in. Is that Joe Mantegna?
I want to say that. I can only ever hear him as Fat Tony in Simpsons.
Oh no, I'm thinking of someone different.
That's the only one
is he Memento? Who's he in Memento? Is it Memento? I don't matter. Anyway, yeah. Go with your heart.
Go with your heart. I will move these yard trimmings elsewhere.
16th of May, the best film of the month. The Hitcher.
Yes,
is released.
No argument there.
Not the awful remake.
No.
The original. So for those who haven't seen The Hitcher is Rutger Hauer, C. Thomas Howell, and what's the name? Bridget Fonda, is it?
Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Jennifer Jason Leigh. They were in that Single White Female together, so I get them mixed up. So The Hitcher is a really dark, brutal thriller. In which C. Thomas Howell is driving a rental car across America, and he's in the middle of is it Arizona or somewhere? He's in the middle of the sort of Nevada desert, Arizona desert area. And he picks up this hitchhiker who turns out to be a psychotic, crazy killer.
Yep.
Played incredibly brilliantly and so chillingly bleakly by Rutger Hauer. It's everyone goes on about Roy Batty performance, but I think this is his standout performance for me. It's incredible. He's just there's so many good moments in this, and it's beautifully shot. Directed by Eric Red. It's got a real dark sense of, and there's some horrible moments in it, and it's just brilliant. It's one of my favorite 80s sort of cult classics.
Yes.
I would argue. It's just, if you haven't seen The Hitcher and you are listening to these and you listen to our film reviews or film what we say about films, go see it because it's a hidden 80s gem.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I can't say enough about it. But don't watch the 2007, 2006 remake.
No.
Watch the original. It is bleak. It is dark. It is brutal. And it's just there's a sequence in. There's so many good sequences, but the sequence in the police station is amazing.
Yep.
The sequence when the family drive past him in the car and he's got all the toys and it's so good. It's so bleak. There's not a lot of gore or horror or anything in it, but it's all kind of alluded to, isn't it? It's all off screen almost. Yep. But what's alluded to is grim as hell. But it's ace. Love it. Great film. So go watch that.
It's exceptionally good. Just for a couple of notes, it's Robert Harmon who directed it.
Was it Eric Red wrote it?
Eric Red wrote it, yeah. It's actually, he only ever made 4 movies, the guy that made that. So, why? I don't know, because it's an amazingly good film. So definitely, I'm not going to say any more about it, because what you said is absolutely accurate. The one thing I would say is that, I don't know if you know, you must know, but in the remake, they changed the ending completely.
Mm-hmm.
So just don't expect to come out of this with happy vibes if you watch the original, because if you've seen the remake, the ending is completely different in the original, and I would recommend that you watch the original because it's great.
Yes.
And Rutger Hauer is really good. And I think you're right. Everyone talks about Blade Runner and Rutger Hauer, but it's only really the last 20 minutes where you see Roy Batty. He's not in it a lot. So he's only really in it for that sequence where he's chasing Deckard around that empty building in the house where that guy lived. I forget his name now, but where
J.F. Sebastian.
Yeah, so he's in J.F. Sebastian's house, isn't he? And he's chasing him down. And that sequence on the roof with the jumping and the letting go of the bird and the famous speech and all that, yeah, it's amazing. But there's moments in this that are genuinely chilling. And you're right. And just, I'm not even going to say them because I know exactly what you mean when you say them. I know exactly the sequences and the bit in the police station. The only other time I've seen a film in certain ways that has the same kind of desert-related, evil, chilling vibe to the person in it is No Country for Old Men in certain scenes in that. Where there's sort of, and it's nothing, they're not even comparable films in any other respect other than the sense of menace you get from that character. And in The Hitcher, it's a lot better, in fact, than No Country for Old Men. But yes, I think that I'm pretty sure that they would have watched The Hitcher and other films of that type to get the kind of idea of that the guy that's just totally and utterly, completely mental and loony in every way. So, I couldn't agree with more. Easily the best film in that list. And then we got to the bottom of the list, but that's easily the best one so far.
Indeed. Another one, that sort of deserty kind of sort of neo-noir style sort of horror thing I would put in Near Dark as well. Yeah,
that's now that was an interesting, wasn't it? Because that's Kathleen Bigelow, isn't it?
Catherine Bigelow, yeah.
Yeah, and Near Dark is another really great film of that. Around that time, there's a few of these genre-twisting, darker movies come out, but that really defy your expectations about what you got. I was never lucky enough to go and see this at the cinema at the time. I'd love to have been old enough to do that, because I can't imagine how going to see this with no expectations of what's going to happen and what the horrors unfolding themselves. I can't imagine that must have been, because you would not have expected it to go the way it does in any capacity in that film. It's all quite horrible. And the only time I've been in a movie in the cinema where I've really experienced a movie that really turned people was when I went to see Jeepers Creepers in the cinema. And that went from people thinking it was kind of a funny, jovial, it's going to be about this and that, to when that thing sprouted wings, there was gasps of horror.
The one moment. Yeah. It's that moment in the middle of the film where the film just changes into something completely different. Yeah, it's really good.
A great realization when you're watching that with a room full of people that aren't expecting it, because I didn't expect it, and even I was like, what the hell is this? Because it's a subtle change in that movie, but Hitcher's like that all the way through and much earlier in, so definitely go check it out.
Yeah, indeed. And our last film, 30th of May, because people needed 2 weeks to get over the Hitcher.
At least.
Was Biggles. We'll see the game of this in a few episodes time, I imagine, because I remember the game. Do you remember Biggles, the film?
I remember the film by the name Biggles. I don't remember being big on Biggles as a character.
It's a time traveling sound weapon film.
Yeah. Which is odd at best.
So basically, some guy goes back from the future to Biggles' time, or Biggles comes from the past to get some or the Germans have gone to the future to get some technology to make this sound weapon.
That's right.
And then they go. There's time traveling shenanigans because there's a guy from the future, there's Biggles from the past. They're flying around. There's and then they end up playing the sound back at the speakers. It's all very bizarre. The only thing I really remember about it is a sequence that I really remember about it is, and it's stuck with me forever. And I did watch it quite a few times. Remember, we used to have this on video, and I'd watch it quite a lot. But there's a sequence, and they're on a train, and I think they're running along a train, but it has this really weird, almost Marlene Dietrich type music playing over the top. It's so incongruous that sequence and that music has stuck in my brain for over 30 years. And I don't know why, because it's so weird. But you watch it, and like, you know when Lady Hawk's another one, but it's incongruous music. But this little sequence, your brain can't. You're thinking, who thought? You know what will fit really well on this bit of the film? This bit of music.
Yeah.
Who thought that and why? Because I could never quite understand it. I just remember Biggles. It's an okay British time traveling action weirdness that was supposed to kickstart Biggles as some action hero in the 80s, and I don't really think that worked, did it?
No. And you know what? The guy that made that's got some really weird credits to his list.
Has he? Go on then.
So you've got, this is the guy that made Return to Witch Mountain and Escape from Witch Mountain for Disney.
What, the new ones?
No, obviously the original 1970s ones.
Oh, the originals. Yeah. Okay.
He made the pilot for Dempsey and Makepeace.
Wow, everything is forgiven.
He made The Howling Four.
Who is it? What's his name?
John Hough, Hough, so John Hough, I guess. But there's some interesting stuff in there. He looks like he's cut his teeth on the Avengers. He was a second unit director of the TV show The Avengers, so John Steed and done all that. And then he directed Twins of Evil.
Oh wow! So he's a Hammer veteran.
Yeah, so he's done Hammer. He's directed Disney stuff. He did the new Avengers. Incubus was one of his in 1981. He did Triumphs of a Man Called Horse. I mean, we even joked about it the other week.
Good lord.
So, honestly, but it looks to me like the CV of one of those second unit, first unit directors that can just get the bloody job done.
Yeah.
You know, a job-in director. So, and that's why it's probably a competent film. So, interesting. I find it, what a versatile guy he really is looking at that CV. So, I might have to go, I might track Biggles down now because I don't remember even seeing it. Just because I'm intrigued of how someone went from making Twins of Evil to a film about a time-traveling biplane flyer. So, I'm interested. I'm interested in that.
It's a strange film, Biggles. I remember there were problems with it that I was aware of at the time, but I kind of gave it a bit of a free pass because it had some interesting ideas, and I'm always a bit of a sucker for a time travel film.
Yes, I have to agree.
So there you go.
Yep.
All right, there you go. That's your TV and film for May 1986. So Bread, Get Fresh, Naked Video, Star Trek 2, Russ Abbott, and then our standout film is The Hitcher. Although Jules and Nile's all right, and Biggles' Money Pit are good as well. So go see them. There you go. We'll be back in a moment, I guess. We've got nothing more to add on that. With our final set of games from issue 13 of Zap 64. So stick with us.
Shout out to our sponsor, DavidHearnWriter.com, where you'll find bargain books and audiobooks. Dave's next book, Escape from the Commodore 64, sees someone trapped inside their computer. Finding themselves as a wizard with a cat who must colour their world, can they get through the game? Or will a virtual guitar solo announce their demise? It's coming soon. Visit DavidHearnWriter.com, that's David, Hearne, writer.com, to find out more. Dave's podcast pick is PSI 5 Trading Company, where he always seemed to hire a dodgy crew. Know exactly what you mean.
Okay, here we go. Welcome back. We've got 3 last games for you. I can only apologise, but that's what we've got left.
It wasn't our fault.
No, it's not us. I tried to pick a good game for each one, and the ratings in Zap seem to be all over the place because I'm not quite sure about some of these ratings you're about to hear. The first one though is a very low rating. This is 24%. This is Mr. Mephisto, not to be confused with Mr. Fisto from He-Man, which I would love to play a game of.
I'm not playing that game with you. You find someone else to be Mr. Mephisto with.
So, for those who don't know, Fisto was a man with a giant metal hand in... not Mr. Mephisto, I'm just going to go off a little bit. Mephisto is a character in He-Man who's got a giant
Mr.
metal...
Fisto to you.
Mr. Fisto is a character in He-Man with a giant metal hand. Now, when I read around, I was quite interested in his backstory, and I found out that his brother had made him this metal fist because his original giant hand had got chopped off. Now, he's only got one giant hand, so I would have thought that the last thing he would want is to be reminded that he was kind of slightly, misproportioned. He'd want a normal
dysmorphic,
hand. Yeah. Give him a normal hand. Instead, look at what it's the bullseye. Look at what you could have won. Look at what you lost. So they gave him another metal hand that was equally massive.
Well...
And his name's Fisto, which is not doing him any favours.
No, but if you think about it, right, because he'd have massively wide tree trunk-like wrists on that hand. So if you put a little thin, normal hand on a massive, thick wrist, it looked like someone had inflated one of those inflatable gloves and just put it over a stump.
It looked like a bit from Daredevil.
Yeah, it'd look weird. No, so I can see why you went for the big hand, little hand sort of thing.
Yeah, but a metal hand is going to weigh a lot more than a flesh, bony hand.
Yeah, but he's obviously got the strong arm to wield that, and he doesn't have a lot of encounters with He-Man in that He-Man TV show, I have to say, in the animated cartoon. I don't know if he's in it much. No.
Well, it's probably because he's a problematic character.
Well, yes, if you've got a giant fister
there
in
you
there,
go.
So where are you going to go? What's he going to do?
You'd never team him up with Ram Man.
Ram Man and Fisto. Now, there's as soon as you hear that, Skeletor's like, I am out of here. He-Man, I'm out of here.
God, Lord. Hey, Mugsy.
He-Man. Fisto, no way. Ow!
Stop. Mr. Mephisto's crap, by the way.
Yeah, in case you're wondering, yeah.
In case you're wondering. So, what the hell is this? I think what the fuck is this was my comment. It's 1984, so we've got Throwback Central. We're in May 1986. So I put it's Doughboy-esque, cross-the-screen garbage from another era. Terribly slow and horrible controls. It looks like it wants to be Castle to Dr. Creep, but couples the awful graphics with awful gameplay. I could never get across to it. So what you see is a kind of pseudo 3D view of a I don't know, it's like a drawbridge or some steps going towards a door at the top. There are some crap hunchback crippled devils,
demon things
that are wandering that are sort of
lost,
cripplingly towards you, moving randomly around. You move so slowly, you can't move diagonals. You've got to cross this bridge and get across the side. If you're touched, and not just touched, but because this is 3D, you'd expect some kind of overlap with no sprites. As soon as I touch, you're done. You're sent back to the beginning. This awful sound. This is garbage. This was one of the worst games I've played in a while.
I knew you'd love this one.
Oh, yeah. You messaged me going, some game's going to make you angry. And you were right. It did. It annoyed me. This was utter crap. There's nothing salvageable. There's nothing worthy of note in this piece of garbage. No. Hated it. Rubbish. Crap. Yeah. Was anything further?
No. The only thing, there's a couple of things. Firstly, kudos to the people that made a escalator-based game, because that's unusual.
Yeah, that's it. Yes.
So
that was what I put.
I couldn't make my way up the escalator. It was impossible. Secondly,
because of pseudo 3D moving escalator.
This wins the first issuing of my Merrin Award, what I like to call my Merrin Award. And the Merrin Award is a game that's made me want to shout, "Begone, foul demon," and call an exorcist to come and sprinkle holy water on my computer screen, because it was just so awful that there's can only been an attempt by some demon from another world to try and circumvent electricity and the wires and become a rational thing in front of my eyes. So this wasn't a game. This wasn't a C64 game. This was a C64 possessed by something. So I needed Merrin. Gets the Merrin Award. It's awful. Crap sounds. Just a game where you're climbing an escalator stairs difficultly because you're going up a down escalator, which is always hard to do anyway. Even, it's just stupid. I want my money back, and I didn't even pay for it. That's what I put.
I know. It's $2.95, wasn't it?
I don't care if I never see that game again, as long as I live.
This is 1.5 thrusts.
Yes, it's 1.5 thrusts. At 24% Zap, I think we're over generous with it. I'd have given it a lot lower than this. It was crap. So
yeah, this to me was on par with that garbage we saw for One Bite Too Deep and Gertie Goose and Cops and Robbers and that nonsense. Awful. Like a game out of time being released. I'm looking at the screenshot for it now, and it's just ugh. Yeah. So Mr. Mephisto, half the review spent on He-Man. I think that tells you all you need to know.
Yeah, just don't even think about it. And if you do find it appears on your C64 Maxi, Mini, or Real C64. Get on the Father Merrin hotline, get Merrin round, and just get him to start shouting, "The power of Christ compels you" at your computer. It might go. It might just go.
It might not, though, and you might be condemned to death and doom and despair and eternal damnation
exactly. Your C64,
on that escalator.
It'll crawl upon your C64, crawl up onto the ceiling and start swearing at you. Or you might crawl up on the ceiling and start swearing at it. I don't know which will happen first.
Puke out green gunk from its cartridge port on your head.
Exactly. And you know what? No game should feature that much escalator.
No, it shouldn't. So let's move on to penultimate game, which is Doctor Who and the Mines of Terror. Now, knowing you're a Doctor Who fan, I've passed this. I'll let you have this one, so because I thought you might get something from it. I don't know, maybe.
Well,
did you?
So when we're talking about overgenerous numbers for games, I think this actually might win the award for this episode. I don't know, for this issue. So this is a Doctor Who game, and specifically a particular incarnation. I'll come to that. So this is essentially a game where you are wandering around the world of the game, and you've got to try and retrieve some plans that have been stolen from the Time Lord and return them safely to halt the production of the Master's evil stuff. I forget the name of it now. I wrote it down, but I can't find what I called it. Anyway, the plan is the Master's going to do this stuff. So you walk around the screen left and right. You've got ladders and things to climb on, things to climb. There's loads of things that can move pretty freely, actually. So you've got to explore and find your way around to retrieve these stolen plans and go around and sort of do all of those things. There's loads of ways you can die in this game. I've died just by falling over. And I don't remember Doctor Who being that weak, but this is actually the sixth Doctor, so that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means it's Colin Baker, which is kind of right because he's got curly hair, the sprite. Now, I don't like Colin Baker as the Doctor. Okay, no. He's my second least favourite Doctor of all time. The award for the winner going to Sylvester McCoy because I think he's awful. So it's not a great Doctor to base it on. You've got a little cat in it called Splinks as well. I know why you haven't got K9 in it. I don't know, but I do know why there's supposed to be Daleks in it, but they don't look like Daleks. They look like how kids draw Daleks.
Were they supposed to be Daleks?
Yeah, but and I tell you, and I tell you why they're not in it, because the rights to how Daleks look is owned by Terry Nation, who created the Daleks. So you can't just use Daleks in a Doctor Who game and hope to get away with it. Which made me wonder about exactly where the licensing sat for this, because the TARDIS doesn't look like the TARDIS. It doesn't have Daleks that look like Daleks, and K9 is now a cat called Splinks.
Are they Kellad?
Yeah. Anyway, it's got
Skellad.
It has Doctor Who tropes, but there are mysteries to this. So mystery number one, why has it got March of the Toreadors from Carmen as the soundtrack? I don't know. We may never know that. So when you're playing the game, you get dun 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 and all of that. So it's weird. I thought the Doctor Who theme might have been more apt. Then I realised licensing, and I started to get the feeling that this was Doctor Who in everything but in name, and maybe that's it. So it's Doctor Who, but not as we know it. There's a lot of mileage in a Doctor Who game around using the TARDIS to move around the levels, which they don't do. For some reason, this is just a wander around, climb up and down ladders and, find things kind of game. Now, and the graphics are okay, they look okay, but it doesn't look much like the Doctor. Well, maybe a little bit, but it doesn't look much like the TARDIS, and the Daleks don't look like that, and some of the characterizations of things aren't right. So, with all of those things in mind, all of the ways that you can die, whether you fall, robots, you regenerate and stuff like that, and it's got some of the Doctor Who tropes in it. But the problem is, I didn't feel like there was much Doctor Who game there. So, I was going into this wanting to play a Doctor Who game, and I came out of it feeling like it could have been any old character, and it didn't really matter if Doctor Who. And at $11.95, it mystified me as to why it's so expensive. So I don't
got to pay for whatever license they got somehow.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking. But I think the only words they could use were Doctor and Who. I don't think they were allowed to do anything else. So
well, I think that maybe you're selling to maybe an audience that will pay because it's got Doctor Who on the cover. So let's stick an extra couple of quid on. They'll pay for it.
I think there's just not enough Doctor Who in this game to make it really feel like it, and that's a bit of a shame. The scrolling and the actual game code and the way it works is quite nice. The animation's okay. It has all of that. It just didn't feel like there was a lot of Doctor Who game in there. The Doctor does a lot more than just wander around and climb up ladders. So and there's an entire wing of the game missing where you could go in the TARDIS and time travel, for goodness sake. I mean, we even saw a game back 2 episodes ago where you had a time traveling elf who wielded a baguette, as I recall. So if they could
What
do
was
it,
that?
I can't remember which game it was now.
Oh, it's thingy, wasn't it? It's gnome. It's the gnome.
No,
time
the
tunnel.
traveling gnome. Yes, the time tunnel. So there are ways it can be done. So why wouldn't you do that in a game that features a time lord in a time machine that travels through time and space? Why? But I'm guessing it's because they couldn't. And that I think they had big ideas going into this, and in reality, they were beaten by licensing issues. I think, but and there might be someone out there far more knowledgeable about Doctor Who in our listenership, or far more knowledgeable about this particular game, who can shed some light on that. And I'd be very interested to hear from them via the email or via all our communication channels, just to see if there is a bit of a licensing story around that, and maybe something happened. I'm just fascinated by a Doctor Who game that features none of the main characters, none of the main look and feel, and doesn't use the TARDIS, and doesn't feature the Doctor Who music. I'm fascinated how that came to be a Doctor Who game. And so, but that was my take. So I think it was a big disappointing snoozer, and I didn't like it. So
yeah. So I think this is a rip-off of another game, which I think is quite close to this, which was the Paul Norman game called Caverns of Kafka.
Right.
I've just put a link to it on Lemon 64 in the thing there. It'll show you some of the screenshots, which is very, very similar. I was looking at Paul Norman because obviously we've mentioned Paul Norman a few times with Forbidden Forest, Super Huey, Monster Trivia. And so I was looking at Paul Newman, and so I've watched a playthrough of Caverns of Kafka, and this looks very similar.
Oh, that is similar.
It scrolls very similarly. So this feels like they've gone for that. Now, obviously wandering around, but the way you move, the way you jump in that game, if you do watch a YouTube clip of it, it's very, very similar. So it feels like it's a bit smoother and it's a bit nicer. It's a couple of years on. It does scroll quite nicely. The graphics are a bit muddy, but it's a recognisable Doctor. I kind of get that. The Splinks is quite clever in the fact, the way you can program it to do certain things, but it's very obscure as to actually what you have to do to actually get it to do anything. You have to lay down markers and then go along it's almost like an animation thing that you've got to kind of program on, and that's quite tricky. So there's some ambition here, but I think you're right. It doesn't feel Doctor Who-y enough. There's not enough recognizable Doctor Who tropes or Doctor Who, because I was going to say I got killed by, what did I get killed by, a mad drag or something?
Yes.
And I was going to ask you, are they a Doctor Who creature?
Not that I know of, no. And I've just noted, by the way, having a quick scan, that it began life as a sequel to the hit BBC microgame Castle Quest and was adapted into Doctor Who mid-development, which kind of tells you everything. So I suppose what that says is our radars are right about this, because that's, it felt like it was a game that had Doctor Who clothes on. So.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that's what it is. And the Splinks is quite clever, but it's just a bit obscure and it's just a bit weird. So I did actually, because I couldn't figure it out. I wasn't going to give it enough time to actually try and dig into it. So I quickly watched a YouTube and I watched how to solve the first puzzle, and I was like, what? It was so obscurely weird, and I was like, no, it's just no. You die too quickly. I don't like. We had that not quite as bad, but do you remember Knockout?
Yes.
The alligator boxing game, where when it was the game over, they had that terminally incredibly long scrolling message that went across the top. This had a similar sort of thing. You died by regeneration, you regenerated by whatever against blah blah by being killed, scrolling across the top. I don't care. I saw what I got killed by. Just get me back on game. Yeah, so it just looks like a Caverns of Kafka knockoff to me. But I'm sure Caverns of Kafka was probably based on something else, but there's clearly a lineage of these kind of wandering around caves that look like this, don't scroll like this. But I don't know. I don't know if it's what the Who connection is, where they got the license, how it got involved. Is there more to tell?
Well, apparently the only thing I can ascertain looking at, because I don't want to deep dive into the world of Doctor Who too much, really. But from what I can see, it's quite famous for its introduction of close to, so the Aldi version of Doctor Who, so Splinks the cat and things like that, as opposed to it being actual, because they didn't get the licensing and they didn't get the rights to use those things from the actual Doctor Who universe. Hence the reason why it's got robotic controllers, aka Daleks, and a Splinks instead of a K9 and that kind of thing. So apparently it's kind of well known for that. And it was also and like you say, it was actually another game that was kind of shoehorned into. So I wonder why they did that. actually. Again, something for our wonderful listeners out there who know this stuff, because there are people who know crazy stuff about these things, to be able to perhaps just give us a tip of the wink on the old Twitter-thon. And do that.
And also explain why it got 86%.
I don't get that. I don't get it. I read the review, and it just felt, I don't know, I don't get it. I've read and I've reread that review, and I don't get what they're looking at compared to what I was looking at, because I just don't get it. They gave, I know that there's a lot of Doctor Who stuff in the manual that came with it. There's a whole exploration of Doctor Who universe stuff, which, like you say, for those fans of Doctor Who, lap that kind of stuff up, and rightly so, it's their thing, then of course it's going to get that. They gave it 92% for presentation, so it had all that stuff in it, but 81% for hookability, 89% for lastability. Come on, value for money. Where do they, what, how?
I know,
Just it's a mystery. I think Doctor Who's been back in time and he's changed that. So it's the kind of thing that sixth Doctor would do. He was devious, and he had, he was a complex character.
And on that note, he was devious and complex. We have a friend like that.
We do.
Oh dear. All right, let's move on to our last game. That's Doctor Who and the Minds of Terror. That was that one. That's not our last game. Our last game is Super Bowl 20 or Super Bowl XX, Super Bowl 20. And so, yeah, this is Super Bowl. So Super Bowl is American football. It is the American fight. Essentially, it's the FA Cup.
Yeah.
It's the FA Cup of American football, except the entire season. It's the weird thing, isn't it? And they don't have anything else. American football is all just geared towards the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So you have all these teams in all these groups, and then the best teams go through to the playoffs. And then they all have games against each other. Still, only 2 are left, and then they have a Super Bowl, and then the winners are crowned. Hey, repeat next year for millions. So Super Bowl is American football. This game, it's American football is played by dot with a big animated replay screen, and that's it really. There's not much more to say about this. That's why I've left it to last, because I was thinking, what the hell can we say about this? It's okay. It's a game based around Super Bowl 20, which is weird because it's the Chicago Bears versus the New England Patriots. If I pick that up rightly,
correct.
So you pick a play, you run your pass. It sort of works, but it's essentially a number of dots chasing a slightly larger brown dot.
Yep.
The animations at the side are impressive, though. I do like the big screen animations. They're very nice. But the presentation's a bit bare bones.
Yeah.
That's it. There's nothing else to it. And it really could have done with more to it. A game based on the single Super Bowl game itself seems odd. It seems really weird. It's like licensing the FA Cup final between Liverpool and Wimbledon.
Yeah.
That's it, because that's the equivalent of this. Or the European Cup between Notts Forest and whoever they beat. And that's it. That's what this game is. It's essentially one game. So, you'd expect different teams, because if you're not a fan of the Bears or the Patriots, why would you buy this if you're into your American football?
Yeah.
Now, there are other American football games out at this point that I had a look around, and there were some. And this plays all right. Zapped loved it. They gave it 90% and a sizzler.
They did.
I couldn't see it. I think my brother bought it at the time, and I think we were quite disappointed because it's essentially dots with animated replays, and it's quite tricky to control. You can kind of get used to it, but at times as well, it's very easy to outfox the AI just by running back and forth until you get a gap, and then you can run around the side of him and run to get a touchdown.
Yeah.
And that's quite easy to do, and you can do that regularly, and the score then becomes pointless and stupid. In 2-player, I don't know, maybe it's all right. What else is it? Do you have anything to add? I don't know what else to say about this because it's fundamentally that. It's the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it is. And I think one of the reasons I suspect why it's the way it is because they probably couldn't afford the licensing to have any more teams in it, because it would cost you a lot.
Yeah, probably.
So I think because they based it around that particular, and I think if I remember rightly, Chicago absolutely hammered New England in that original Super Bowl back then. So I suppose what it's for the novelty of being able to play with 2 teams and to be able to replay that event or play the AA or play him or whichever way you want. It simplifies American football down a bit too much, maybe. So you can pick from certain types of play, but very simplified versions, and you can play from do certain positions simplified. The defensive play, you've got, I think, 4 positions you can choose from for that. So it's taken a complex game right down to sort of simple level to give you that kind of, I guess, to make it more playable. So it's less, because it's sort of it's hinting at strategy, and it's one of those cusp games that we spoke about before. Would it be better if you just made all the strategic decisions as the coach, and then the game played out. Yes, because that's
Yeah.
kind of where it's heading. It doesn't need the arcadey type bit where the action bit where you take control of a dot and you can outrun the other dots. And I felt that was actually the weaker part. I mean, as an American football simulation, I quite liked it because you can enjoy it in that way. As an arcade American football game, I thought it was weak. And so I quite liked its presentation in the characters and the way it did that. But the longevity of this isn't there, is it? Because the AI was really easy to beat. I mean, you don't need to know a lot about American football to play. Once you get to know the plays, that it seemed to be that the AI, the computer AI, had no response for. So, like you say, it didn't take long to figure that out in this game. So, no, don't avoid passing plays and just run the ball around to the left or the right every time. And then just do a short play, pass the ball in, and you can be scoring touchdowns very quickly. The kicking of the punts and the kicking of the field goals was I thought a bit weak. Again, because it was just dots on the screen. It was, wasn't. So I would have liked to have seen the game play out like this, but have more of the strategic elements in it. So you could feel like you were coaching that team and choosing the plays and forming a defensive response. And, and there are ways you could have made that interesting because it elided that. I think they tried to oversimplify it and make it kind of an arcadey fun game. Now, whether that might be something that was designed to appeal to a wider audience for American football, maybe that's the case, because in the early 80s at this point, the American football wasn't getting a lot of UK TV time. Not really. Not like it does now. I think there was one show on... I don't even know if it was even on at this point. We'd have to do a bit of digging to check. But I think that there was historically one show on Channel 4 which showed kind of the highlights of the NFL. And that was pretty much it. Because obviously this is not a... This is a country of football, UK football, and other sports of, that we play rugby and stuff like that. So, and there was always that kind of schoolyard argument. Well, what are you playing American football for? It's just like rugby. And it's not. I've played collegiate level American football. It's nothing like rugby. I played rugby as well. And it's nothing like rugby, and apart from the fact that it's the similar shaped ball. They're very different types of play, different types of game, different types of experiences, and both amazing in their own way. So I really, when I played it, I was in the defensive team in American football. I really, really enjoyed my time playing that. So I found it quite a nice simulation of stuff when I played this game, and it took me back a little bit to learning all the defensive plays and stuff like that. It's just too simple. It's just too simplified to make it any fun, and it was too easy. Now I think I think at the point when I was like 60 whatever points, I was just like, this is just getting stupid. It's embarrassing. Yeah. So the novelty quickly wore off, but I liked it. I liked it back then because there wasn't many American football things. It wasn't, you couldn't buy American football shirts, and I wanted one. I really, 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 really liked at the time. I was a New York Giants fan. So I really liked Giants. So again, this didn't really have a lot of appeal to me as a Giants fan. But and I also liked the Broncos as well. The Denver Broncos. But at the time, they were really good because they had that amazing guy that could throw the ball like a billion miles. I can't remember his name now. But anyway, long and the short of it is, it disappointed me really going back to this. But I know that there's better games for American football later down the line. But this one, I remember this fondly. I don't know quite why when I come to play it, really. I was just a bit disappointed. I remembered it being less dotty and more actiony. I don't know why. Maybe I remembered something different.
The side visuals are really nice. The side animations are really, really nice. Yeah. Do you know what else the developers of this, who are Chaos, do you know what else they also made?
I've got a feeling it's a game with lots of dots in.
No, V.
Random.
Yeah, V, the computer game. Goodness. That was under Chaos, but it was Grant Harrison and Kevin Grieve. Now, Grant Harrison was also worked on A View to a Kill.
Interesting.
Savage.
Okay, Savage.
Did Underworld. Chase HQ 2.
Interesting.
Galavan. Hero 2020. Yeah, they did sort of a mixed bag of stuff.
Did we have a tweet from somebody that said that they were behind Chase HQ or something on the C? I
can't remember. I don't think so. But yeah, so the guys who made this would go on and also they would make V at the same time.
Interesting.
It's strange. But yeah, it's not a terrible game. Super Bowl 20.
It's a bit small.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying about the license, and it's as a representation of that single game. But to me, because it's just a representation of that one game, it seems really weird.
Well, I'm surprised that they did it. Cause it's exactly you described. Can you imagine? It's just pick a random FA Cup and just make it about the actual cup. Yeah. Well,
that one game, that third round game between Brentford and Luton.
So yeah, to be fair, if there was a UK football, it's just so we can differentiate between the two. If there was a football game that you could have as this kind of format, so if there was a a UK football game based on two teams playing at a final of something, what would you choose for that? And I don't know a lot about UK football, so I'd be interested to know what you think.
It would probably be the European sort of Champions League final, Liverpool, I want to say AC Milan, where they were 3-0 down at half time and came out and drew 3-3 and then won on penalties, or won in the next time, yeah. Yes, that would probably be the Champions League final. FA Cup one, don't know. There's been lots of good FA Cup finals.
That's what I mean.
But
So why they picked that one, I don't know.
That's what. Well, I think it was. There was a thing, wasn't there, in the mid '80s? There was a bit of a, not resurgence, because obviously that implies it was something before, but there was a groundswell of interest, wasn't there, around American football?
Yeah.
And it was obviously seen as like, actually, well, let's just make this game about this one. And to be fair, they've done it quite interestingly. They've obviously realised that they can't animate that many players on screen, so they've used dots, and then we've got around that by having that big giant animated sidebar.
Yeah.
So it's a weird presentation. I see what they're doing, because if you try and put that many players, it would be slow as hell and flickery sprites and rubbish character graphics and
and you
awfulness.
require that many players on a pitch. You do.
You do, yeah. So it's you get that many players on screen, which works. So it allows them to do that by using character graphics and dots. That's fine. And like I said, those animated sidebars are pretty good, but it's just a weird thing. And I'm looking it back at it, because I think like you, I enjoyed it back then. I think I played it with my brother a fair bit. But looking back on it now, it's a really weird release. It's a strange thing, and that's
odd.
what I couldn't get my head around. Anyway, there you go. I think don't think I've got anything more to add on that.
No, I think that's it. I think there's better things to come for American football.
Yeah, probably. We covered every game. There was nothing we didn't cover.
Nope.
We, even if, because it was only 12. So we've got a couple more crapverts. Now the first one is actually it's not terrible, and it's not the image that I wanted to pick up on this one. Although I don't like there are players and there are survivors in the middle. So this is for the Comet game, which is a terrible, terrible name for a game.
Yep. Not wrong there.
But it's from Firebird, and I have some things with that text going around the outside.
Yep.
A daring new action-packed space race adventure with all the risk, thrills, and death-defying challenges you've come to expect from Firebird. We've been playing Firebird. We played Willow Pattern.
Publishers of the UK's most exciting
software. I've got issues with that statement.
If we do say so ourselves.
Yeah. I don't like the way it goes around the edge.
I see your Comet game and I raise you Silu. So you ain't producing nothing but dog turds.
I raise you Willow Pattern.
Silu. What's that other one? The one that was the Chimera. That's one of those, I think, as well, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Jeez, where did they get off with that?
But the Comet game is such a terrible name.
Yes. And I suspect,
so
is it a Mad Planets type thing? Is that what we're going to come to this and it's going to be that?
I don't know, maybe. So it's not Crazy Comets, it's the Comet game. I don't like the way those hot. This is a hot, the Comet game hot.
Yeah.
It's I don't like it. It's part of the Firebird's hot range, though, for a Spectrum and Atari, and available soon for the Commodore 64 and Amstrad. Buy them while they're hot.
I tell you, it is a random thing. So I've just did a quick googly Google of that. Apparently this was a game aimed to be released for the tie-in with Halley's Comet passing when it came to that's why it's called the Comet game.
That's what I think. But what's it? But
why?
I don't know. That suddenly doesn't scream, exciting software. Why is there a spaceship chasing a ball of ice? I know a ball of ice is a comet, but why is there a spaceship chasing it? Because that's not, Halley's Comet is pretty benign.
Well, just why make a game about that? Why make a game about a comet that's passing by? No, is that what they do? It's just, this comet's passing by, make a game about it. No, did they do that with everything? No.
I don't know.
Something passes by them and they make a game from it. Is that how Silu came to be? Some Silu came past? I don't know.
Probably. I don't like that, but I have saved the best till last.
Oh, goodness me. Dirty Den.
Every now and again, the magazines do provide gold. And I saw that and I was like,
Oh, seeing who this is by?
Yeah. It's by the people who did the Adventures of Basil and Bond.
Exactly. And remember how we loved that.
Yeah, but so this is Dirty Den.
Oh my gosh.
There's so much weirdness about it. His sparkly earring.
Yeah, his rosy nose and cheeks.
It's like so weird.
It's like looking at a really weird Viz character that isn't a Viz character.
Yeah.
And he looks like he's menacing a Tina Turner impersonator.
with a walnut or with a bit of chocolate.
Yeah, what is that meant to be? Is that what is that?
I don't know. And why is he dirty? Why has he got his name on his teeth top? He can't remember his name. Why would you want to be? If you were called Den and people called you Dirty Den, you wouldn't want that on your top, would you? It's not a good name to be called.
No, just read that second paragraph after the planet Earth has been invaded by a super intelligent alien force from a far distant galaxy.
This is a different game. This is for Defense 16.
Yeah,
but
just read it.
Can you penetrate their defenses and destroy the landers before they mutate? Blast the pods which turn into heat-seeking swarmers and zap the vacs and mine layers?
It escalates its tonality of aliens from landers through to vacs and swarmers. It's like, what are you drinking, you crazies?
Clearly, it's a Defender clone, isn't it? It's going to be a Defender clone knockoff. I'm
trying not to think about it, but I suspect it is.
It's going to be, yeah. But that Dirty Den. So this, as I said, it's Dirty Den. So we've got some kind of cartoony character. It was drawn in
1952 by the look of that.
Yeah, certainly there's nothing that looks like Dirty Den. I mean, is it playing on the dirt? Because remember, EastEnders is out now, I think, isn't it?
Is it being menaced by giant parakeets with arms?
Well, yeah. So the question then becomes, what are those things behind him? Why has that tree got a face? And why is there a sort of Dracula-style castle in the background?
Yes. And why is he so ginormous? I guess it's just perspective, but I don't get it.
Why is his shoe bent like that?
What is he aim? Is that soap? Is he throwing soap at that woman?
I don't know what it is. What's he got in his hand? It looks like a Mars bar or something.
Yeah, he's got a hobnail boot on by the look of it, I guess. What a strange thing. It looks like a character out of time and place. It's like they've drawn the wrong head on the wrong character, and they're just, oh no, that ain't what I meant. No,
that doesn't look anything. That doesn't look anything like Dirty Den. And that's not Angie Watts.
Yeah, I was going to say you've seen EastEnders, right? Yeah. Giant red-nosed, red-cheeked little kid. Yeah, giant kid.
He works in the pub. Surely he'll have a red nose.
Soap at people. No, that's not Dirty Den. Dirty Den was a womanizing, violent, woman beater who ran a pub. Oh, did I get that wrong? Did I get the brief wrong for that? I thought you meant a young kid being attacked by naked parakeets near a castle.
In front of Dracula's castle.
In front of Dracula's castle and a sort of
while a Tina Turner impersonator stood nearby.
Yeah, for some reason. It doesn't even say what that game's about anywhere, right? It just says new release.
Dirty Den,
new release, $6.95 for the Commodore 16 plus 4. Something tells me that's not going to be great.
No, it's not. But it was glorious when I came across it.
I mean,
it's so rubbish.
Did you feel a genuine sense of sorrow for anyone that had a Commodore 16? Because I know I did.
I didn't know anyone with one. I knew someone with a VIC-20.
Yeah, okay, because you would upgrade that naturally eventually to a 16.
Yeah, but 16 came later, didn't it?
Yeah, weird. Why? I don't get. You know what? That's getting into the dark world of Commodore at that time, where they just seemed to release things for a laugh. I think pretty sure the plus 4 was just a laugh.
Because then you had the 64C and the 128.
Well, it was a strategy that became their undoing with the Amiga later down the line, when they just released loads of stupid Amigas that made no sense to anybody, and then it killed them off.
It the what was the Amiga CD add-on? Was that the CD?
The CD32. Yeah, you had the CD32. You had the Amiga 1000, the Amiga 500, the Amiga 600, the Amiga 1200, the Amiga 3000. I think was another one. I think there was loads. Was there a 5000?
They were actually naming themselves after the Odyssey, because there was an Odyssey 1000, Odyssey 2000.
Yeah,
the Magnavox Odyssey.
And then you got down that route. I mean, the classic is the Amiga 5. The Commodore was 64, but they had the 128, the Plus 4, the Commodore 16, the VIC-20, the Commodore PET, I suppose, if you're going to go that far back. It never seemed to be able to stop releasing machines. Like, just focus on one.
Yeah, absolutely. So Commodore 64 was isn't it the biggest selling home computer of all time?
Yeah,
with that kind of description.
Yeah, absolutely.
So why would you try and release others? Just focus on that.
I don't get what market they're aiming for with the Commodore 16. I don't understand it. I don't quite know, because it's horribly delimited version of a Commodore 64, and I don't think the price was that massively different.
No.
So
was it to sort of compete? I suppose it was to compete against the Spectrum 16K version.
That's what I don't understand, because the 16K Spectrum was outmaneuvered by the 48K. Obviously, it would make sense to do that, and I don't know. We'd need to dive into a lot more depth about the releases.
No.
But it's a hardware pattern for the Commodore 64, Commodore in particular, that they never seem to be able to shake. They just seem to just release, periodically. They just, I think someone in the I guess it was Jack Trammell, maybe his time, maybe even after his time, I don't know.
And don't get us started on their calculators.
That's where they formed, wasn't it? That's where they was their compass. But yeah, but you're right.
But their range of calculators just defied belief.
Well, yeah, but that's what I mean. But can you imagine? This is the equivalent of releasing a calculator after you've released a really successful calculator with less buttons on it. So it's only got the numbers 1 to 4 on this calculator. Why? Because it's a calculator 4, and the calculator 16's got 16 buttons on it. It just makes no sense to their business model. Made no sense to release crapper versions of a successful thing. I don't get it. Do not get it. So I don't know.
Let's move on to the charts.
Yes.
let's not get so head up about Commodore's business practices from 35 years ago.
We should.
The Commodore 64 chart. All right, here's your top 10 in reverse order according to Commodore User from Gallup. In at number 10 was FA Cup football. We looked at that, and that was bizarre. Mercenary down to number 9. Kane down to number 8. The Eidolon down to number 7. Zoids in at number 6. In at number 5 is Electroglide. Down to number 4 is Kung Fu Master.
Mysterious.
Staying in at number 3 is Yi Kung Fu. In at number 2 is Hardball. And straight in at number 1 is Uridium.
Makes sense.
There you go. But the weirdness was, in CMVG, we had a Commodore 64 top 8.
What? Why? Stupid CMVG with their stupid rules.
Because next to this, in that issue, there was top 8. BBC, Spectrum, and Amstrad all got top 10s. CBM 64 got a top 8.
Random.
Don't know. They had Mini Office 2 at number 8.
I am raising a flag. How is that even in there? How?
Know.
You cannot tell me.
I haven't made this up.
No. But you cannot tell me that is real.
Nightshade at number 7. Strike Force Harrier. Citadel,
they've got to be making
Lord of the
stuff up
Rings,
here.
X-Blading Fist, Southern Belle, Yi Kung Fu. None of this is real.
No, where have we haven't seen Lord of the Rings. That might be a text adventure, I suppose. But
I think
Citadel,
it's a text adventure.
Is that the Citadel BBC game? I suppose, but maybe we'll find out one day.
Who is buying enough copies of Southern Belle to put it at number 2?
Who's buying enough copies of Mini Office 2 to even get it in a chart? I mean, that's niche. That must have been well popular. Oh my God, that's better than Rambo.
It's number 8 in the top 8.
Yeah. Dad, can I have Rambo for Christmas? No, son, you're getting Mini Office 2.
No, look at this. It's got 80 columns.
It's got 80 columns. You can write 255 characters on that. More than you need.
Absolutely. So do you good for school. Remember, this is a CBM 64.
Yes.
Commodore business machine.
Business machines. For my business, not your games.
There you go. Oh, I had to include that when I saw it because it was so stupid.
It's hilarious.
Right, that's it. What we got next month? Before we do next month, have we got any games from this issue that we'd like to put in our big list? I think Alter Ego's got to go in, hasn't it?
Yeah, Alter Ego and Sci-Fi, I think I put in.
PSI5, yeah, I think that's right. I think they're the two bona fide good games.
Yeah.
Maybe Thrust.
Yeah, that gets that sort of a third.
I think Thrust would.
Entry. Yeah.
I mean, it's not for me because I can't get past the keyboard, but I know a lot of people do really like that. And it is a very good game.
And it's got great music, in all fairness. So it's thrust its way in. It's lubed its way into that top 3.
It has past Jeff Cape's budgies.
That's it. It lubed its way through.
It smuggled itself in. Right, next episodes. What have we got to look forward to of the next couple of episodes? We've got a plethora of games.
Oh my gosh.
We've got, let's just go through these. We've got, I'll go through some of them. Archon 2, Bomb Jack, Bouncers. I always thought that should have been Bouncers, but it's Bounces. Cauldron 2.
Whoa.
We'll finally get to look at the comic game. We may look at Doom Dark's Revenge, which is obviously the sequel to Lords of Midnight.
Yep.
Empire, Fairlight. We'll get to control the police in the Force.
Oh God, forgot about that. or traffic wardens potentially.
Yeah, who knows? International Karate.
Oh, that's a
biggie. Ping Pong. I'm not sure about Knights of the Desert. That could be strategy. I'm not sure. Ping Pong, Spellbound, Spin Dizzy, Starquake, Titanic, V.
Some whoppers in there.
That's a busy. From what we've just had to that.
I can already see something that's annoyed me about the International Karate entry in Zapped, but we'll come to that next time. I think they're just following the theme because it's suffering from the very same thing where it's Mephisto from.
Because it's not got GM next to it.
It's not got GM next to it. Rotters. How dare I suppose they couldn't. Interesting, very interesting. That
Zap. What rotters?
come on.
what utter rotters?
If just when you think that, anyway, you know what? This is a big discussion for the next episode. I'm really looking forward to it. There's some doozers in there.
There is.
Spellbound, for goodness sake, is in there. Goodness me.
I know. Interested to see Spin Dizzy.
Titanic. That's going to be a chirpy old game, isn't it? If it's based on the actual.
I think V. We'll get to Star. Oh God, got called them too, haven't we? So hard. Right, there we go. That's it. We have been Zapped to the Past. You can get hold of us in the usual places. You can get hold of us on Twitter at @ZappedToThe. You can get us on Facebook. Just search for Zapped to the Past. You can get us on Instagram. Just search for Zapped to the Past. You can get us. Our website, which is zappedtothepast.com. And you can email us, if you really wish to, at zappedtothepast@gmail.com. Listen to podcasts like Hands on Gaming, because it's good, and Retro Asylum, because that's also good. I think that's it. I think we're done.
I think that's it.
But for this week, it was we can only apologise for the games. We're very sorry.
This was the month of May, the merry, merry month of May.
It was, yes.
Not so much fa-la-la in that one, though.
Well, it is episode 13, unlucky for some. Issue 13, sorry, issue 13.
Yeah.
So there you go. On that note, I think we'll get out of here and leave you to the rest of your day. Have a good one. I've been Adrian Mills.
I have been Graham Raddings.
And we have been Zapped to the Past. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to the Zapped to the Past podcast. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the world of Commodore 64 games, as well as the music, films and TV from around the 1980s, driven, of course, by the issue of Zap 64 magazine published at that time. We will return with a whole new batch of games and stuff to talk about next week. Until then, if you want to listen to or download previous episodes of Zapped to the Past, and why wouldn't you, they can all be found on our website at zappedtothepast.com, as well as being available on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Deezer, Audible, Player FM, and, well, pretty much anywhere where we can upload them. By the way, we do always love to hear from our amazing listeners, so if you'd like to contact us about anything in the podcast or beyond, you can do so by emailing us at zappedtothepast@gmail.com. We're also active on Twitter under @ZappedToThe, as well as Facebook, Instagram, and most social media platforms. Just search for Zapped to the Past and you'll find us. Oh, and if you like the podcast and what we're doing, please do like, share, review, rate us. It really helps. Something, apparently. The Zapped to the Past podcast is written and produced by Adrian Mills and Graham Raddings and recorded at Flaky Bits 2.0 Studio. All opinions expressed are those of the writers, and while we indeed love Zap 64 magazine, the Zapped to the Past podcast is not affiliated with it in any way. Stay safe, see you next time, and remember, we play these games so you don't have to.